The Volvo EX90 has been a long-awaited wait and has been delayed for years at this point in time. But has it been worth the wait, or should you just have bought a Kia EV9 a year or two ago, saved a bunch of money and gotten a car that is as good or even better? Or has it been worth the wait and the EX90 is actually a discounted Mercedes EQS SUV offering the same level of luxury and refinement and driving experience? Well, those are the questions we are going to answer in today's video. And spoiler alert, guys, I really love this car. This may just be my favorite electric car at the moment. I think the EX90 is just about the prettiest SUV currently on sale, and I don't think photos and video really does it justice. In person, this car doesn't only have a massive road presence, but it also has an elegance and gracefulness only seen in Range Rovers. It has a timeless beauty that is both refined and classless. It is truly one of the best car designs in modern history. It is clean, new, fresh, and with bold details like the Thorshammer DRLs and the swooping taillights. It is truly a masterclass in car design. There are a few caveats, a few important things to consider for this review, and also if you're looking to buy a Volvo EX90. And that is, a few months ago, Volvo actually announced that this car in the future is going to be built on an 800-volt architecture. We don't know when it's going to happen. Is it going to be from the model year 26, which is going to be on sale from this fall, the model year 27, model year 28, or beyond? We really don't know, but we do know it's going to get the same type of technology we see in its cousin, the Zeekr 7X, and that means charge times of probably half what it does today, from 10 to 18%. So instead of like 31, 32 minutes, we can expect like 15, 60 minutes to fill up this big battery. And also, it's going to get upgrades when it's regarding the hardware, the GPU, the processing power. So this car has LiDARs, it has a lot of sensors and cameras, and all of the infotainment system, which this car is rumored that it really can't run all of that, and that's why the LiDAR functionality, even though it's there on top and we have cameras around the car, it actually doesn't work yet. So if that is something that is important for you, fast charge times and also LiDAR, you may want to wait for a future model year and skip the car we have here. The EX90 is a proper SUV, and that means you step up into it, you don't step down into it, you don't step sideways. You have to climb to get into this car, and I actually really like that. Soft close doors as standard on all four doors, which is a really nice touch. So I've been very vocal about this car since it came out, since I first saw videos, since I first saw it in person 2 years ago at a static showing in Oslo, that the interior design and quality seemed like a downgrade compared to the XC90, which was a revolution when it came out like 10 years ago. I remember test driving that car the summer of 2015. I was so impressed that I actually went out and ordered one myself. I took delivery of that in February of 2016. And that delivery video is the first video here on the channel and kickstarted this channel. So I built my channel on the XC90. It was so beautiful on the inside and the outside that I actually went and bought another one a few years later. So first I had a diesel and then I had a hybrid. And I've always said that once Volvo come with the electric version, either of the XC90 or the next generation, which is what this is essentially, I'm going to buy one. And I actually ordered one the day after launch, but after having waiting for that car for so long, I canceled it last summer, almost a year ago in June, and the sales rep was like, he was quite annoyed. He was like, but the car's just right around the corner, like you're gonna have it in like 8 weeks. Yeah, right. We're here a year later and customers are now taking delivery of those cars ordered almost 3 years ago. But maybe after having this car on loan for a week, I'm gonna purchase one, or maybe I'm gonna wait for the upgrade. So the interior, my car had Napa leather. It also had the amber color, which was like a little bit more brown beige than this. It's what I call Ferrari beige. And this interior combo really reminds me of the spec I had. But there are a few things. Napa leather or leather isn't even an option for the EX90, but I've heard rumors that from model year 26, you're gonna get this with leather. So I would wait personally for a car with leather because I think paying this much money is essential. And also down low in the cabin, you know, we have stretchy touch plastics, which you don't have in the XC90. And I think the XC90, especially with the facelift, just has a few more niceties and details. But I'm gonna say that I had, you know, a car in Spain over a week with a black interior with this Nordico trim, and it was completely fine. It just didn't feel that luxurious. But this, with this brown Nordico interior, I think it actually feels very luxurious, especially, you know, with this wood trim here on the dashboard and also down here. I really like that they didn't go for like scratchy black plastics here on the center console like they did with the Polestar 3, which basically has the same center console. Here they went with this wood trim, which is beautiful, and it's actually backlit here on the dashboard and on the door, so at night it illuminates. It is really nice. So I have to say, I don't think this interior is as bad as I remember it being a few years ago. Maybe I've just been used to interiors being downgraded from Mercedes, from Audi, from BMW, and now Volvo, that I've, you know, lowered my standards. That may just be the case. But I think this is perfectly fine at this price point. It's not super impressive like the XC90 was, but I'd say with leather, it's probably going to be a really nice experience. So there are a few things that I don't like. First off, what I really like, the Bowers & Wilkins sound system in this car is phenomenal. I think it's the best iteration of Bowers & Wilkins in any Volvo. It's just super clear, super punchy. It plays loud and crystal clear. It's an amazing sound experience. So if you're into music, I'd say option that. So I like that. I also like, you know, the Bowers & Wilkins details. I really like the wood trim. I like this interior color. I think it really works nicely. But there are a few things that I don't like. And that is, there's a little practicality here in the center console. So like, for example, my sunglasses, I have them here. So if I have a passenger, we have 2 drinks, and then I have my phone charging. There's nowhere to place my sunglasses. There's no way up here. I have to, you know, put them here. There's no place in the doors really to tuck them away, which is really weird because this is a large car. You have, you know, this storage down here, which really I don't find any use for. It's nice having, but I just wish, you know, they connected the dashboard here, made it, you know, a little bit more elegant. So that is something I don't like. And also, you don't have any knob to adjust your steering wheel or any switches to adjust your mirrors. And mirrors is important because if you're doing parallel parking, yes, you do have a 360 camera here with a large screen, but in a lot of cases, especially when it's dark, it's not high enough resolution for you to discern how close you are to a curb. And these wheels are huge. When I picked up this car, the left wheel, this is a brand new car, was already curbed. So 22-inch wheels, parallel parking in a city like Oslo or anywhere in Europe, you really want the fidelity of a mirror, and you really want to drop that mirror at will when you want. Not it going automatically, you have to do a setting every time. I just want a knob to drop it a few centimeters when I need it at will. And then also these buttons here, they work fine. They're like a flat panel, but they're clicky. They're not touch capacitive. Like for example, in the Zeekr 001 where they didn't work. Here, they work perfectly fine, but they're not backlit, which is really weird. The stalks here, the gear selector, and this stalk for your blinkers and wipers, that's illuminated, but not your buttons here. Of course, if you have this car for a while, you're probably going to get used to where the buttons are. But I remember driving this back from Lisbon to Madrid, and when the dark hit, I want to change the screen here. I had to put on the interior light because it didn't know where the button here to change the layout was. So that is just a bit weird. So other than that, it's a perfectly fine interior. It's super comfortable, really nice driving position. The seats are amazing. So a gripe I have with the Kia EV9 is that I don't think the seats are necessarily good. They're not very comfortable, and also the driving position. The steering wheel, I can't get it close enough. You're sitting like this. This has none of that. Perfect driving position, great steering wheel, magnificent seats. I've already done, you know, 3 or 4 long trips with this car, and it is awesome. So like with the front, in the rear, you have to climb into the car because this is a proper SUV. You also have soft closed doors here for the rear, and there isn't like a massive amount of knee room or leg room here in the rear. I'm sat behind myself. I'm 5'11", 180 centimeters, but there isn't that much room because there's actually a third row. But it is perfectly fine. But I wish I could use, just slide up the rear seats a little bit to get a little bit more space for taller people. But once you are here, it is very comfortable. You have 3 individual seats here, and you also have really nice under thigh support, which is a problem in electric cars with the battery pack in the floor, because it builds up the floor, and then you have the seat cushion low. For example, in the Polestar 3, which is based on the same platform, you sit a lot lower and you feel like you're sitting on the floor. You don't have proper under thigh support. So I would rather have under thigh support than a massive amount of knee room, which is the trade-off you get in this car versus that car. And also, there is a lot of room for my feet underneath the front seat, so it is really, really nice. This seat you can also recline it, which is perfectly fine. And there's a massive amount of headroom. And even in the middle here, yeah, there's just a little bit, not a massive amount of room for my feet here. I wish they built this console with like a garage here. That's not very comfortable. You can sit like that, but yeah, not the most comfortable sitting here in the middle seat. And also you have an armrest here, which is kind of pathetic compared to what you get in the Polestar 3. You have cup holders here, but that is pretty much that. The Polestar 3 one is pretty amazing. So yeah, I mean, the back seat is fine. It's nice. And also you sit high, so you have this really nice view out of the front and also out of the side windows. And also this massive panorama sunroof lets in a lot of light. So yeah, for kids and adults there, it's perfectly fine. But it's not, revolutionary in any way. But you could go for the 6-seat version, giving you captain chairs on the outboard seats. And that car I've sat in, and that gives a really nice rear seat experience with, an armrest here for each of the seats, and also makes access to the third row a lot easier, which it isn't very easy in this 7-seat configuration. Now let's see if I can jump into the third row one-handed, holding the camera in the other hand. I mean, it's not the easiest task. And there's also a 6-seater version, as I said, where there's no middle seat here, meaning access to the third row is pretty easy. You just, walk in the middle there. So what I've done now is I actually slid this second row seat up a little bit, or else I just wouldn't fit behind myself. And I'm going to show you how much room there is with this slid up. You can see how much it is actually slid up, like almost 10 centimeters. And I still have knee room behind myself. So for a short trip, this is perfectly fine, but it is a bit claustrophobic with, the seat back all the way up in my face. And also not a lot of room to get my feet out here. So yeah, I think the EV9 is bigger when it comes to second and third row accommodation. So what I do now is that I pull this lever and then I slide this, and then you can see that there isn't, a lot of room here to enter the car, and also this is low and this is high, so it's not the easiest task. So let's see if I can do this. Okay, and then let's see if we can just do this. And it's easy enough, but I'm holding a camera, right? So it's not the easiest task. And then I'm gonna slide this into position, and yeah, I don't have a lot of knee room here. I really don't have a lot of knee room, and you saw how limited my knee room was in the second row. So I really don't think like this is the best for carrying adults over 2 rows. If this was the 6-seater version, it would be easier because you could, slide your feet in the middle where there is a seat now. But yeah, for carrying adults over the second and third row, I think the EV9 is a lot better than this. Headroom also very limited. My hair is touching, so yeah, maybe for a short trip, but yeah, for full-size adults, this isn't that good. So let's check out the boot space. So this has a very large trunk, but again, I think the EV9 has a bigger trunk with, the third row folded. That is a lot of room. And even with the third row, let's see if we can do this. With the third row up, let's see if we can put it up. Oh, this one, left up. There we go. Can we do the other one also? That was left, let's do right. No, that's not right, that's down. Left down, right down. Not sure why that's not working. That should say left and that's right, but then this is doing the left one. Okay, so that is faulty. But even with the third row up, you have all of this space here behind the third row, and that's actually pretty decent. You can get a few suitcases in there. So the EX90 has two different keys. You have a card here, which you can tap on the door and then you put it here to start the car, or you have this proximity key, which is the one I've been using the past week, and that means when you walk up the car it unlocks, and also you just have it on your person and you can put the car into drive and then you're good to go. You can charge it here on this small pad here, and for the most part it has actually worked better than any other Geely Group car I've been testing recently, which has the same type of key. Even the Zeekr ones with buttons, they don't always work. This can get a little bit confused if you're leaving the car and then you're coming back to the car quickly, like I do sometimes. I'm exiting the car to set up the camera and then the car locks and then I get back to it. So maybe that's just, you know, my use case, which is a little bit unnormal. So maybe if you own the car, you're not going to experience that a lot or at all. And sometimes it's just been slow to respond, but you know, I pull the door handle and it eventually unlocks the car. With other Geely Group brands, I've experienced I have to walk away from the car and then come back, sometimes several times. That has not been the case with this car. So to put the car into drive, you just put your foot on the pedal, brake pedal, and then you put the car to drive with the selector here. And this also, because it is sold in the European Economic Zone or in the EU after July 2024, lane keep assist, speed limit warning, and driver alert, driver monitoring systems. Even if you turn them off, every time you do a key off, key on cycle, they turn on automatically. For example, leaving the car, as I just explained. So to turn that off, you have a shortcut here. So you press this icon and then you have lane keep assist there, and then you have speed limit warning. But to turn off distraction alert, you have to go into settings, and then you have to go into drive, and then you have to scroll down here, and then you turn that off. With this car, there has been a bug that's not present now, but was present in the take I just deleted, and that is the head-up display, which is now off. But a lot of times when I get into the car, it's actually on. I've experienced this with the Polestar 3 on multiple occasions. You have to tap this on and off, which is just annoying. So this car basically has no drive modes. You have your settings here for driving. So for example, you can go in here and then you can go into driving dynamics, and then you can do one pedal drive automatically or on, and then you can do your steering. You can do it heavy or light, and then you can also do your suspension. You can do it firm or soft. Just leave everything in light and in soft, and then off we go. So I drive this car in one pedal drive, and this one pedal drive calibration may just be the best one pedal drive calibration in any car. It's firm, it's soft, and it is smooth. And what I mean is firm is that when you go off the pedal, it immediately goes into one pedal drive, but it comes to this refined stop. It's just really, really nice, and it behaves the same all the time. So here, you want to go off the throttle, and then it's just soft, and then it bites, and then it's soft again. It's just really easy to modulate, and especially compared to that Zeekr 001, that car just was so unpredictable when it came to one pedal drive. So that shows you, you know, even the brands within the same group, Geely Group, Zeekr, and Volvo, the tuning of the hardware, and these are not built on the same platform, but the tuning of the hardware, it is so essential to the brands and to the engineers and where the cars are developed. Here, this one pedal drive is just amazing. I really like this one pedal drive. So a thing that I talk about when it comes to driving dynamics and the feel of the car, which is kind of hard to convey on camera, and I try to, you know, get better at this all the time, is how a car feels. And the thing about German and European cars in general, this is not a German car, this is a Swedish car, is that there seems to be a consistency, a coherency between the weight of, for example, the throttle pedal, the brake pedal, the controls, the stalks, the steering input, the doors, everything. It seems like all the engineers worked on the same team and they spoke to each other and they tuned the car accordingly. For example, a Korean car or a Chinese car don't seem to have that same coherency, in my opinion. And that, you know, for me elevates the driving experience and makes the whole thing just seem more luxurious. For example, this one pedal drive calibration, that is also reflected in the softness and the firmness of the steering. The steering is very precise, but there's just a refinement to the way it weights up and the way you can control the car that is just so luxurious. And the same goes for the suspension. This stretch of road here is a stretch of road I've driven for many years to test the car where it gets unsettled, because there are a few dips here in this road, but this doesn't unsettle the car at all. This car is on large 22-inch wheels, so we don't have a lot of rubber, but it goes over the bumps and there's one motion. Over broken pavement, it can get a little bit choppy. It can get a little bit busy and unrefined. But the week I've been driving this car, testing out on different types of roads here in the suburbs outside of Oslo and in Oslo over cobblestone covered streets and broken pavement, it is very seldom this suspension can't cope. Yes, in some instances, it's not the top very best, like something you'll find in a Porsche. But most of the time, it is so nice and so refined. And I think it's basically down to these large 22-inch wheels, because you have a lot of unsprung weight. You have a little, you have a small tire sidewall, and at some point in time that gives. But here, potholes. That's a really, really harsh, that pothole, and also these speed bumps. Yeah, this suspension, this car is unfazed. And also at speed, it is so quiet. I think this is the quietest car I've tested. And again, to see the results, go to my range test. At 80, at 100, and 120 kilometers an hour, this is the quietest car I've tested on summer rubber. The car that is more quiet than this is the Polestar 3, but that was on winter tires, Sulless winter tires, which is a quieter compound. So the way this thing drives is just so impressive. You have this great commanding driving position. Your arm just rests perfectly on the armrest. You can see the hood. You have this great view out of this greenhouse. You sit high, but the car is also so composed, like side to side motion. I say this is as controlled as the EV9, which is very impressive, but it's just softer, it's more supple, it's just more comfortable, it's more refined, it's more luxurious. Really, guys, this is a very impressive car to drive. I think this rides 95% as good as the Mercedes EQS, but it is 30% better to drive. It's just this steering weight, the one pedal drive calibration, the way it controls its mass. This is like 2.6 or 2.7 tons. It is so impressive. I have no complaints about how this drives, and this being the performance version, 517 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in like 4.9 seconds. The only thing is the top speed, only 180 kilometers an hour. But that's only if you live in Germany. This stretch of road I've been many times before in my previous XC90, my T8 hybrid. That car was also on 22-inch wheels, and these speed bumps would unsettle the suspension in that car, but not with this. This is so smooth and refined. It is honestly very impressive. As I said at the beginning of the video, I really, really like the EX90. And despite me complaining about it over several years at this point in time, I actually really like the interior, because when you compare this interior to other cars at this price point, for example, the Audi Q6 e-tron, this interior is so much nicer. It's just a downgrade compared to the XC90 before it and also the facelifted version. That is my complaint. But I think once you can option this with Nappa leather, you're going to get that Nappa leather smell and also surfaces in Nappa leather. I think this is going to be a really, really nice interior experience that nobody can complain about. The exterior styling is superb. This is a masterclass in how you design an elegant, a beautiful, a timeless, SUV. I think this is going to age so gracefully because we've seen the same thing with the XC90 that was launched in 2014, 11 years ago. That car still looks fresh. This is going to look fresh far into the future, and I think it looks better than any SUV on the market, even the large Range Rover, which I adore. This is just so pretty, and I've been getting comments like that all week at charging stations. People are like, oh, it's so pretty, and it is. The way this thing drives for being the size it is amazing. I thought the EV9 was a superbly driving car, and it is a good driving car, but this offers the same amount of agility, but with more comfort, more quietness, better seats, a better driving position. It's just a superior car in every regard. So compared to that EV9, which I have driven on multiple occasions here on the channel, is this worth that upgrade? Well, it really depends. These cars are priced very differently in different markets. I think in some markets, the EX90 is like 20,000, 30,000 euros or dollars more expensive than the entry-level EV9. Of course, compared to that car, there's a large price difference. But in a lot of markets, when you spec them spec for spec, you know, with the big battery pack, with four-wheel drive, and you don't go for air suspension here or Bowers & Wilkins, which you can't get on the EV9, they are surprisingly closely priced, especially here in Norway. And I think when the price difference is like $10, $15 or euros, I think the jump to getting this, if you don't need all of that trunk and rear seat and third row accommodation, I think this is the superior vehicle that is so much better to drive. I think this is so good, this actually competes more with the Mercedes EQS SUV when it comes to driving dynamics, driving comfort, interior quality, and just the luxury experience, because this sound system here, the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which is an option in this car, is even better than the Burmester you get in that EQS. The interior quality here is better than the Burmester. This may not be as soft and supple as that EQS SUV, but I think that is down to tuning, because this is so much better controlled. This thing drives amazing, it looks amazing. I just had a pleasure my week piloting this EX90. But for me, I would wait until you can get this with the next generation 800 volt architecture and also the Nappa leather interior. I think then this is going to be the perfect car. But I would wait. But would you? Let me know in the comment section down below. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.